The prestigious national award winner for the 2012 Eugene and Marilyn Glick Indiana Authors Award was named in September. This year's national award winner, John Green.
I'm just so thrilled and honored. It means a lot coming from my hometown and my home state, and you know, the award committee that has picked such great authors in the past. It's just a tremendous honor. My most recent book, The Fault in Our Stars, is set primarily in Indianapolis, and I think that's a reflection of sort of my love for Indiana, but also my feeling that in a lot of ways Indianapolis is the American city. It represents the best of the United States. It also represents our biggest challenges, and so I'm deeply influenced by that. But I also think of myself as a very, even though I spent a lot of my life in the South, I think of myself as a very Midwestern writer. When Nick in The Great Gatsby talks about, you know, returning to the Middle West, I always think that he's talking about my home and my hometown. And so, yeah, I feel very closely connected to this place, not just as a person, but also as a writer. I could never have imagined so many people reading my books or this kind of honor. I could never have imagined a night like tonight. I just feel very, very grateful, and I hope that I can live up to the award, because I don't think that it's just given to one's work. It's also given to one in trust, in the hopes that I'll continue to do good work and write the best books that I can. I don't really change my books to write them for young adults. I don't think about you know, any kind of putting restrictions on myself or on my work or anything like that. I always feel like my responsibility is to tell the truest story I can tell. But I love writing for young adults because they're doing so many important and interesting things for the first time, because they're falling in love for the first time, they're grappling with big philosophical questions for the first time, and also because they're able to grapple with those questions in a way that isn't ironic and that isn't you know, isn't shaded by all of the messy stuff of adulthood, and I really enjoy that. It means a lot to me to have a seat at the table in young people's lives when they're forming their values, when they're choosing what matters to them, when they're, you know, thinking for the first time about what are going to be the most important questions in their own lives. And that's a real privilege as a young adult novelist, and one that I try to take very seriously. That's very meaningful to me, to not just be a writer, but also to hopefully be a writer who inspires young writers. And you know, as for the encouragement that I can offer them, the first thing that I would say is that reading is our apprenticeship. Reading is how we learn how people have used these scratches on a page to create ideas and stories inside of our minds for millennia. And reading is our first and greatest path to learning how to write. But then I also believe that it's important to tell stories, not just on paper, although that is very important, but also to tell stories to our friends. And that's a lot of how we learn how stories work too. I think that libraries are more important and relevant than they have ever been in American history. We have this idea that because of the gifts of the internet, that information is now available to us all. Well, first off, that's not true. Many people don't have consistent internet access. More importantly, even within the internet, there are many vital tools that are not free. Genealogical tools, job searching tools, you know, newspaper archives. There's all kinds of tools that aren't free, but that are free at your public library, and that offer all of us equal access. So that's hugely important. But even more important, in my opinion, is that librarians and library professionals offer us not just information, but curated information, so that we can not just have this massive stream of data, you know, filling our teacups like a fire hose, but we can have the right data so that we can come to informed, educated conclusions instead of just having this massive stream of data available to us. And to me, the job of the librarian and the library in the 21st century is really a job of curation. I'm just so grateful to the Glick family and to the IMCPL for all that they've done to make this night possible, but also to make my books possible.
The Eugene and Marilyn Glick Indiana Authors Award is an annual honor presented by the Indianapolis Public Library Foundation. To learn about next year's event, go to indianaauthorsaward.org.